Hello and welcome to Radio Free Nintendo. I am James Jones. It is July 24th. This is episode 935. Joined today, Guillaume Vayette.
Hello.
Greg Leahy.
Ahoy, hoy, everyone.
John Lindemann.
It's great to be here, James, as always.
And you, dear listener. I am joined by you in the past. I don't know. I try to do something different. Guys, got something different every week. Kind of come up with a new way to intro the show.
The thing is, nobody asks for anything different, James. You say this every week. It's like, I don't know why it lives rent free in your head.
But because if you do the same thing forever, it's boring.
Not according to our listener base. They've never said, James, we need to switch things up. We're bored of this format. You know,
okay.
In fact, if anything, they've reinforced the fact that they like consistency. We are the one thing in their lives that is consistent week to week.
That's sad.
It is what it is.
Sad.
It is what
it makes me real sad. I want to give them what they don't know they need.
That's true. Spoken like a true Nintendo podcast.
Spoken like somebody trying to get business.
Yeah, next you're going to talk. Well, so you're saying we're trying to be a Blue Ocean podcast? Is that what you're saying?
I'm trying to be a business. I want to make business money with business.
All right.
Anyway, hi, hello, welcome. We're gonna continue our conversations around Donkey Kong because Greg and I have had a lot more time to play the game now. It was out for a day in Greg's case and hours in mine when we spoke last week. So we've both had time to put significant amount of opportunity to put significant amount of time into the collection of golden bananas. And so just kind of pick up where we left off last week, give some more detailed thoughts and impressions on what the game is and how it's playing. And I'm gonna let Greg kick off this week since last week I think I dominated the space a little bit.
Sure, yeah. So as it happens, I did roll credits today. Obviously, with this kind of game in particular, that is not, it's a bit fuzzy about what that means about how much time you spent with the game and, how much time it might take for other people to get to the credits because, as we discussed last week, there aren't really kind of quotas the way there were certainly in Mario Odyssey, which the game, does share lots in common with, and yet, that in itself is a pretty substantial difference, but generally, the approach that I had was kind of like to make sure I had a solid majority of the checklists filled in, because there's the number of bananas, but so for instance, certain things we mentioned last time have like major tasks, beating a boss or like clearing a layer, like you'll get a bunch of 3 or a bunch of 5 at once, but that's only one item on the checklist, I believe, right? So it was kind of like looking on the checklist, like have I got roughly about 2/3, 70%, something like that. Most of the time I just kind of had that naturally. That was kind of the way but I wasn't like making a beeline for the main objective with the little, kind of yellow icon, the exclamation point. All the time, it was very much just kind of let things catch your eye and go off and muck about. And sometimes it ended up being kind of pursuant to something that would have happened, pursue with the main objective anyway. Other times you just kind of go off on a tangent and find a bunch of stuff. But yeah, generally I was kind of on that pace anyway. There's the odd world where you'd kind of, or layer, where you'd kind of say, yeah, I'm ready. I've kind of done the stuff that's ready to kind of finish off this layer, but I'm looking at the checklist. I see these really big gaps and I can think of a few things that I kind of had intended to go back and look at before and hadn't done. So let's just do that before we move on, kind of thing. So it was, that's the kind of balance that I wanted to strike and, kind of make sure I got a good sense of the things that were kind of tucked away in each layer, but without belaboring it. So it kind of, you got to, keep that kind of, some kind of sense of momentum going. And, that kind of carried me all the way through to the finale, which obviously, especially, the game still hasn't been out very long, even by the time, this goes up and everything. I'm not going to go into details, and certainly, James, you haven't rolled the credits yet. So just very specifically in your case, I wouldn't want to try to tread on it either, because it may well be quite close at hand for you at this stage. But, in the very general sense, also, it kind of felt like it lived up to the kind of escalation that this team has been on in terms of making their finales, bigger and more satisfying than, maybe some of the one. I mean, I guess if we're going to count Sunshine, for instance, that was not that big or satisfying if you go back that far. And, stuff like Galaxy, kind of, started to take it a bit bigger. And then I would say, definitely, Odyssey had a very satisfying conclusion. And I think this kind of fits in, quite well with that, if not, kind of, and befitting the fact that, we're on more powerful hardware and all that. Kind of feels like the spectacle has ramped up a bit more. And also, that was pretty satisfying. And certainly, without giving anything away, it seems like, as you would expect at this point, we've been through this sort of exercise a fair few times. There's some post-game stuff, to poke at that's even beyond just like the clean-up, if you like, that kind of roughly 30% of the stuff I didn't get. Seems like there's going to be some specifically kind of post-credits activities as well. So, yeah, I'm nowhere near done with it, but, to see that conclusion and all that in, the time frame, it was, a good, satisfying kind of run to the end, and now probably set into a little more laid back, a little more kind of less intensive, not as many hours in a week, again, but I think, probably keep going with it for a while yet.
Yeah, I have, let's say, poured a good amount of time into this game. It's interesting because unlike something like Xenoblade X, which is the last game I spent a bunch of time with, I really can't play this game for like hours and hours and hours and hours, because it does have, like last week I talked about, well, it's not really a platformer, but it does have platformer style, like, you failed moments. And so it's a little bit harder for me to just sit there and grind at it for really long stretches of time. I have to put it down after a little while. Cause it is, I don't want to say exhausting. Like that makes it sound like I'm tired, but it's kind of mentally taxing to play it for a really long time. So that's not a negative statement. It's just about the structure of the game. Whereas Xenoblade X, I can really turn things off. I can have something going in the background and just kind of chill with it.
Well, especially when you've got a good working knowledge of that game, from having played it before. That was certainly the case with me. I didn't get through it nearly as quickly as you did, but in terms of the sheer number of hours, I still got through it very quick for me, thanks to the portable, the true portable play, and just the fact that it's that kind of game. This is far from a pure platformer, but it is an action game. And it might be a very kind of forgiving one in many respects, right? I think it's friendly for younger players, and, there's sometimes, quite often there's more than one way maybe to kind of accomplish something. But, it's definitely more involved than, an RPG in that sense.
Yeah. So I'm pretty deep into the game. I know I'm well past the halfway point. I don't know exactly how many layers. I don't know exactly how many layers there are. It works in like hundreds, but usually it's like 101, 102, 103, and then you jump all the way down to 200. I'm in the quadruple digits at this point. Like, so I'm getting there. I know I'm close to, as they keep referring it to, the planet's core, but I'm not there yet. So I'm still going down. So one of the things that I wanted to mention was in the interview that came out with the team producing it, I believe it was the director, said they had played every Donkey Kong game in the series to prepare for this. Boy, did they. And I say that because there's like a million little joke references to things in other Donkey Kong games in this game. It's everywhere. It's constant. It's like a refrain that is consistently being random references to things that you might not even remember popping up. There's a period of time where we meet two characters from the Donkey Kong Country series, and they talk about their life to Pauline, who is unaware of those events. We mentioned Cranky's appearance with Rambi last week, and we get to hear from him a lot about what he would have done in the past. There are some gameplay segments that are just straight up pulled out of challenges in Donkey Kong 64. It's the same challenge. It's just done better. Because what Nintendo did, Nintendo said, hey, what if Rare, as it existed when we owned it at the turn of the millennium, just kept making the kinds of games Rare made and got better at them? Because this is a Rare-ass collectathon with better than they've ever produced. And you'd expect it to be. It's 30 years newer. But with ideas and polish in ways that they didn't. So,
well, and again, that kind of, kind of permissiveness, I guess, if you want to say that, of the way Nintendo games have been more recently. You know what I mean? Like, because this is something that Nintendo was very different about around the turn of the millennium.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about it plenty of times when we did the retroactive of Super Mario Sunshine about how it's like one of the more baffling decisions of that goes against even what they did in Super Mario 64, which is like basically there's 120 chimes and you don't need all of them to beat the game, but there are a bunch of them that you absolutely have to do. There is actually no option. You have to do them, and I think was it the first.
And one of them is a stupid fruit on the beach.
The first 7 or something, isn't it, in each, area or so? I forget like the exact thing. But, whereas, as we already mentioned, here, it is very much like, yes, there's the core journey, to go deeper and deeper, to go through the bottom of the layer. You're going to have to fight certain bosses. You're going to have to unlock certain transformations to do that. But generally speaking, it's like engage with this as much or as little as you want, because there is, unlike, it's been a while since I played DK64, but basically there's like a quota check in that, isn't there, where you just have to like chuck a bunch bananas to it, and stuff like Banjo, you needed to have a certain amount of the jigsaw pieces to fill in the pictures to go to the next world there and all that. Like, it's just leaving all of that in the past. And as we mentioned last time, like, you've got the skill tree stuff now, which is like, okay, so it gives the bananas like some sort of reward for getting them, some sort of purpose-ish, but really it's more like, do you want to find them? Do you want to muck around? It's leaving it more up to the player, which I think is, like you said, first of all, the game, it has more ideas, it has more creativity, it has more polish than, some of those earlier 3D platforms have. And as you say, they've got advantages in that regard in terms of the years of experience and iteration.
Oh, yeah.
Better technology and all this stuff. But it also, it does leave it up to the player. So, hey, for whatever reason, this particular type, because, you get refrains, right? You get recurring things in the layers, much like Mario Odyssey and other 3D Mario games, where it's like, you get the idea of certain things are just going to keep coming back in each kingdom, if it's Mario Odyssey, or in each layer here. Like Cranky, right? Cranky's going to be around somewhere. You're going to find him, you're going to get a banana for talking to him. But that's pretty much like Captain Toad in, some of the 3D Mario games, right? So it's like, you get, but if you get one of those recurring kind of motifs and you're just like, I'm not into that, then you don't really have to bother with it, do you? And I think that's wise, you know what I mean? Like, and then, maybe if you're going to get really completionist at some point, you would engage with that stuff, but it's not anything that you have to, just to kind of see, the core journeys being resolved.
The realization, and you mentioned it, which is actually really funny. The realization that I am playing a 2025 Rare 3D platformer, but like hyper polished, was actually related to one of the things you just talked about, which is in Donkey Kong 64, there are 2 barriers to progress. Well, there's a third, but we'll get, that's kind of just at the end of the game. There is the gold bananas that unlock the world map areas. And then there is inside the boss doors in a level, which is like one of the mandatory bananas. There is Trough and Scoff, which is a pig, and I want to say the other one's an elephant. And you have to feed the pig and hippo, and you have to feed Scoff the regular bananas you picked up off the ground. And there's a set number at which point he becomes heavy enough to open the door. There is a parallel to this in Donkey Kong, where you have to essentially feed these rock creatures that exist and have all kinds of different shapes. One of them, or one class of them, is tree-shaped.
Yes,
and you have to feed them gold until they fully bloom, and you get 3 bananas for it. You get like 3 tiers of it.
Yeah, it's like basically it's pretty cheap to get 1. And then it's kind of more modestly expensive to get 2. And then you're going to have to, kind of dump quite a fair bit of gold into it to get the 3rd one. That's, kind of the idea there. So again, it's giving the player that kind of option to say, like, do I want to just, depending on how much gold they've got or how thrifty they are about spending it, it's like, well, maybe I'll just get 1, because I at the moment to like fill out another skill point and leave it at that. Or, just dump it all in there, get them all at once.
But it's easy to find gold. It's very easy to find gold, unlike bananas, which were a finite resource. And like it even moves the camera. DK is standing on a little pedestal, which is exactly the same in the Banjo-Kazooie game, or in the DK64 game.
Well, and like I said, that is like also like Conker as well had those like context sensitive. I mean, it does remind you of a number of rare games there.
But like that specific feeding the thing, a lot of the collectible, like it's shot the same way. Like it is very explicitly a callback. But there's stuff like the fact that everything has googly eyes, which is more rare than DK64, because DK64 didn't do all the items have googly eyes thing quite the same way like Banjo-Kazooie.
To the same extent as Banjo, no. But those fractones, the rock people, like, they are rare as hell, basically. Yeah. Those things, aren't they? They really are.
Even the weird humor and tone of the game feels very rare. Like, it's pretty irreverent a lot of the time. I really like, so the fractones, you can buy little rest areas in the game that refill your hearts. And the more of them you buy in an area, the more bonus health you get. And I think it maxes out at 5. So that's like 5 extra pips of health.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the cooking in Zelda, isn't it? In terms of giving you health beyond your max health. And
it even looks like it.
But in this case, it's not about like cooking a better dish or having better ingredients or whatever. It's just, if you find more of them, the getaways get more plush, and therefore you get a better night's sleep. And I think each one has some unique interaction between with Pauline talking.
That was where I was going
to DK before they sort of fall asleep. So that was the thing. Once I kind of found that out and thought, oh well, I should definitely. At first, it's kind of like, well, the game's not that demanding. I don't know whether I need to. You can refill your health other ways, all that kind of stuff.
But there are also warp points. That was my motivation.
Yeah, that's the thing. As it went, I was like, no, I should build all of these, and then I found myself listening to the individual unique conversation. Well, it's one-sided conversation, obviously, but, Pauline's bit of voice acting, talking about the current place you're in and all that kind of stuff. They're cute in little interactions. They're quite well done, I thought.
Yeah, like that all goes to the tone they're saying though, because there are times where it's like, okay, DK is playing the guardian role here, and like he's being, he's doing he's responsible for her well-being. And then there's times where it's like, no, she's really the adult in the room. Like DK is a big dumb child, and she is the adult in the room. Where like, she goes, there was one of my favorite ones was she woke up from a nightmare, And so most of it is just her making like, no, don't do it. Oh, no, be careful. And at the end, it comes out that she had a nightmare of DK choking on bananas. Like, she wakes up and says that. It's like, okay, no, I can believe that. I can believe absolutely that is a nightmare that you would have. But yeah, like, there is a sense of how the world is put together that's also, because it's not a big open area. It's a bunch of collected open areas. And that is very in line with how they did it on the N64, because they couldn't do big giant open areas because the N64 only had so much memory. Whereas DK does it by layers. Like, there's I just went through an area where I got a power up transformation, which again is another Banjo-Kazooie thing, or even Donkey Kong has some transformations and stuff. Like, all the pieces are there. It's just very different. But like, when I couldn't figure out what this game was, it's because I haven't played one of these in like 20 years. But it's one of these. Like, it just is. It's just we somehow missed 20 years of this genre's evolution. At least in the Nintendo space. Like, there was what's the knockoff Banjo-Kazooie?
Ukulele, yeah, from Playtonic.
Yeah. But
the 3D one.
That felt very conservative by comparison. But this feels like, yeah, we also know those games. We've played them a lot. We like them. We think they could be better. And the locomotion choice that they made to make them better is, what if DK just breaks shit all the time? And as you get more power-ups, like, power-ups, because, let me rephrase that. As you get more transformations, they're
kind of like, you know, if you work in the Mario Odyssey or just Mario general kind of like analogs here, they are kind of analogous to, you know, power-ups that Mario would get in those games, right? Like, you know, I don't know. The cloud suit or the spring suit or stuff like that in Galaxy.
They are, but they're handed out situationally to solve a puzzle in front of you. Whereas DK, they just become part of the toolkit that you can pull out.
It's that greater level of flexibility even than stuff they've done in the past. Like, it is very much like, no, I mean, there's definitely specific areas where, you know, you're expected to use this thing or you absolutely have to. Like, there's certain little challenge rooms where, you know, you have to have that form to be able to even unlock the door, essentially.
Right.
You know, and then you're just locked into that form for the duration of that challenge. But you can just use it to solve a bunch of other stuff whenever you like, as long as you've got the energy or whatever to activate one, you can do that. And then you can probably, again, as we mentioned already, you could solve things probably in a different way than is like the most obvious, you know, the most clear kind of route to doing it. You might be able to find a completely different way. And you, I mean, sometimes even just by digging into the earth and tunneling and all that, you find yourself, you know, you might ping something with the sonar, you see a banana, and you just don't stop hitting stuff until you get there. And then you realise it's like, yeah, I've just bypassed like a whole actual bit of level design here, but I've done it anyway. It lets you do it, you know, like that's the kind of game it is. Obviously, you know, Zelda shrines and stuff have the same ethos, don't they? You know, and that's what they've kind of more fully adopted here.
I actually really enjoyed a moment in that game where I had just gotten the transformation, the snake one. And there is a room immediately after you get it. You need it to get into the room. But then it expects you to do what is essentially play a level of Donkey Kong with rolling barrels and everything and climb up some scaffolding. It expects you to use the many advantages of the snake form. I don't like the snake form and simply found a different way using the forms I had otherwise. Was it efficient? Fuck no. Was it the best way to do it? No. Did I pull it off? Yeah, I did. Because again, like there's a thing about these games being in 3D and having good physics engines, like that we don't necessarily appreciate in the moment, but like because they have good physics engines, you can cheese the physics engine to make things happen that wouldn't happen otherwise. And because you can pass through surfaces effectively, or you can rebuild the surfaces around you, that's another way to solve the problem. There is a form Nintendo is on their kick of turning their main characters into elephants. That is absolutely ground destroying. Like DK
it's kind of crazy, isn't it? It's like you've already had all this flexibility about being able to just punch through a lot of stuff. Not everything, there are kind of unbreakable surfaces, but it gives you a lot of flex. And then it's like, what if you could just hoover it all up? You know, like just... And also, I do love the fact that it sounds to me, I don't know whether it is literally the same, but it's like when you start inhaling a bunch of stuff, it does sound like when the counter is going down for when you're capturing a ghost in Luigi's Mansion.
It does.
It just makes it more satisfying than it should be because it just sets that off in your head. But yeah, then it's like, I mean, you probably could break so much like design if that was your goal, you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, I can see what they want me to do, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use this to just destroy everything. Like the possibilities are quite kind of wide, aren't they?
I have found so many bananas that the game did not expect me to find this way by just hoovering up the world that was like hiding them from me. And it's like, oh, there it is. There's banana. But there is a level where you're supposed to try to find a way around the inside of a lava room. I just decided I didn't want to do that and made the lava not exist anymore. Done. Problem solved. And the game's totally fine with that. It's like, yeah, we spent a lot of time on this puzzle, but I guess that works too. That I kind of enjoy. Like, I just enjoy the freedom to do that. And the idea that the game rewards your creativity. Like it's there's a lot of like threads you can pull here. There are some very clear, we learn stuff from Breath of the Wild in play. And you mentioned it, like the ability to have hearts go beyond because you make really good food. It's not just that. They use the same color iconography as Breath of the Wild does. The extra hearts are the same exact shade of yellow.
I mean, it's more appropriate. I mean, Zelda's got a big emphasis on gold, so I guess maybe it's just equally appropriate.
Yeah, but like, it's not just that they're yellow; it's the same yellow. Like, I bet if you were able to get to the hex code, it's the same hex code, and it's like there are lots of things that they've picked up from different places. Like, yeah, this does have the structure and the feel of what. If Rare continued on a positive trajectory, they might have ended up making 20 years down the road from when they stopped making these things. It does have like elements of some Mario stuff that have been brought into this ecosystem because, of course, it's built very knowingly around. Oh,
there's plenty of times where it's like, okay, this is a riff on something from Galaxy, from 3D World, from I mean, very direct in some cases, from like based on power ups or particular levels, especially. You've got, for me, I think the real kind of highlight of the game, this is a kind of smorgasbord game, right? It's like, it's all this stuff and kind of take as much of it as you want and then just move on however you want. And you can do a lot of things if you want. But the thing that you kind of I was most drawn to in the world and look forward to the most was the triangle kind of portals where it's like, okay, you're going in and there's 3 bananas in there. And generally speaking, 2 of them were pretty much just going to be fait accompli, right? If you get to the end, you're going to get them. And then there's one that's going to be trickier. And straight away from the beginning of the level, because sometimes that trickier one is hidden near the start. And then other times it's almost after the end, right? If you spot something where you can go kind of beyond the end. That for me, and they take all different forms. Like some of them are side-scrolling levels, as you mentioned, the one that's riffing on DK Arcade, from 1981. So there's DKC references, but then others are, very similar to the Zelda shrines, as we kind of mentioned the one last week with the rolling spiked sort of balls and all that you can trap in a pit by blowing the ground up, and various other ones, that again, in some cases leverage physics. The combat rooms are generally one banana.
They generally are, yeah.
They're just like, tend to be, kind of which you know, I read John Reardon's review for the site, and he was quite down on them, and I get it. You know, it's very kind of unimaginative, you know, the combat room, the kill room that has I would say I'm a little less kind of down on it from the point of view that I think there's value in it in that, like, yeah, with the enemies, you know, because generally speaking, there'll be enemies that you've seen in the overworld, right? It's just like, oh, right. Kill a bunch of them in this amount of time. I do think there's some value in putting that time pressure on you, and it's basically forcing you to do something efficiently.
Right. Which it usually comes with the puzzle.
Yeah, there'd be some element of it, you know, like, oh, well, this enemy is sensitive to this kind of thing in the environment. And it's like, when you've got all the time in the world to kind of kite them around or, you know, whatever it is, that's one thing. But when it's like, you've got to do this in so many seconds, it's materially different. And I mean, the thing is, it depends, like, if you're somebody that even when you're playing in a situation where it's not a time challenge, you're just like, you know, your brain is wired to do it as efficiently as possible. Maybe there's a greater feeling of redundancy there, right? Where it's like when you go down, you just do pretty much what you was doing anyway. But I think, especially for younger players, you know, and stuff like that, I think there's some value in showing, like, yeah, you know, these enemies that you used to facing off with, you've got to do it in a more, you know, kind of efficient and kind of productive kind of way. And then it teaches them then to take that back into the overworld and get rid of them more easily in that context as well. So, I mean, I do think there's some value in those. Obviously, some are better than others. Of course they are, because I mean, there's this many. But it is the 3 banana challenge rooms that I like the best. And again, yeah, there's some that are not as, you know, kind of clever or, you know, kind of as others, but I think overall they're kind of what provided the biggest, like, oh yeah, I found one of those, I really want to do this, you know, kind of thing.
And there oftentimes ideas show up in those and then get riffed on later. There is a series of them that are Wrecking Crew inspired, and those are amusing because how they hide the banana, because ultimately you're going to destroy the level. So where do they hide the banana? because again, you're going to destroy the level.
They get, because it's like, in that case, the kind of 2 banana thing is like, you get one just for doing it. You get one for doing it fast enough, like for a better time, essentially, don't you?
Which requires some kind of puzzle solving.
But
usually.
Yeah, then there's still going to be one that they're going to find a way to hide, even though it's a level about destroying everything, which is, yeah, that is an amusing concept.
And it's like, where they've hidden them in the past so far, in one case, I was like, I only found it because I was like, oh, maybe it's at the top of the tower. It's like, if you don't destroy it and just climb straight up. Because if you destroy it, the banana gets destroyed. No. Maybe it's in the middle of the tower. Like if you drop down the shaft in the middle. No. And then eventually I just saw it as I was like, I wasted one of the retries just looking for it. I was like, where's the fucking thing at?
Yeah, I mean,
just found it that way.
It does kind of, in sometimes away from those levels when I was struggling. Earlier on, I think when I had a little bit less of a good sense of, you know, where are they going to hide this thing, kind of, or less expectation of it. I did pretty much go into full Alfred in the Dark Knight, where it's like, how did you find that bandit? Oh, we burned the forest down. Like, just destroy everything until you have to be able to see it. But yeah, as the game went on and I got a better sense of, you know, where they might hide things, that got less necessary, and that is in itself is satisfying. You know, that feel of like, yeah, I'm better understanding the design language here. We're starting to get on the same wavelength.
Yeah, the elephant is also, I've just decided to burn the forest down. It's like...
No, the elephant is the flamethrower here. Like that, if you want to do that thing is so much more efficient than, you know, what you've got.
Especially if you powered it up.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I have absolutely stripped some levels to down to the studs just to find bananas. I'm like, all right, I'm confident there are hidden bananas in this cave. I don't want to search this cave. Burn, and then like I end up walking away with 3 bananas because I tore the place to pieces. And I'm like, yeah, I did that. That was me. That was I don't even feel bad about it. I did this and I'm proud of it. It is a remarkably it gives you, like you said, a tremendous amount of freedom. I think you could beat the game with one banana because I think it forces you to get the first banana. And then I think you could just leave all the boss bananas behind.
Yeah, even the milestone bunches, they drop them down, the tunnels, like to the next layer or whatever. And it's up to you. Do you want to crack them open and have the animation and have him eat them, or just leave it there? That is something that they let you do. If you want to do, like those Metroid, runs where people try and do it with as little percentage as possible, like it's kind of just inviting you to do that.
I think you do have to pick up the first banana. I think that's part of the tutorial. But after that, I think you could do anything. I think you could just be completely banana-less and play the game with a one banana clear.
And that's it. I mean, you've got a pretty versatile, move set even before you start expanding stuff. Really. But I mean, there are certain things like with the turf surfing or whatever, and like doing it over water and all that. Like it would be cumbersome to do without those. I mean, I do think it's tough, right? Because in the end, I mean, I tend to think that I think that I get it. You're doing away with the quotas, progression quotas for banana. I kind of broadly supportive of that decision. But and then it's like, okay, well, you want to do something with them. You want to make them, contribute to something. So you come up with this skill tree. I mean, I would think that paring it back a little bit might have been somewhat better. Like, it just, the fact that there's so much like this, you end up with so many different things to get. I just think it's kind of, and some of them just feel like you probably should just be core functionality, kind of like what I was saying there with the turf surfing or the stuff with the sonar, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really like the idea. I think Guillaume mentioned it even before it came out, like when we watched the direct. It doesn't seem that appealing. Like, it feels like, well, this is a feature that they might have had it at a certain level of effectiveness with the sonar, and then said, oh, let's pare it back so that players can buy it, the functionality back, essentially. It's just, for me, I would have just said, don't have that upgradable. And maybe, it just, because with Zelda, all it is stamina and health, but it's not like you're like, oh, well, I can't be bothered doing the shrines then. You don't have to have a million different things to invest in to still have people feel like it's worthwhile to do this. I mean, in the end, it's the entertainment of getting the bananas themselves, right? That's actually what you're doing it for. The incentives. I have a background in economics academically, so I'm keenly aware of how much incentive structures matter. But at a certain point, we should be able to say it's not actually what's important here. What's important is the gameplay, and just be able to do it, off our own sort of initiative. But that's the thing. To a large degree, it does kind of leave it to your own initiative. I just would have drawn the line a little bit sort of tighter and have maybe it takes more bananas to like fill certain things, but just have fewer things to fill, right? And maybe a form less, or I don't know. I think the zebra, I'm not sure whether that, maybe you could have just given a dash move to a different move form, or given the dash move to DK or something, because it doesn't. Right. It has other capabilities, but it is pretty much all that dash, really. That's like that kind of matters.
Yeah,
but I never used it that much though. So for people who used it more, maybe found interesting things to do with it. That's the thing, right? It lets you do the ability. So.
The fact it can run on water opens up some opportunities.
Yeah, it's kind of a substitute for that turf surf thing, as I kind of mentioned.
Yeah, or as another way to just get around what the game intended you to do. There are definitely bananas I got. There's multiple, again, because this very much feels like a rare game. There's multiple levels where you like influence the water level in the space, and in some cases, being able to just run on the water is just like, well, this just kind of lets me bypass many of these puzzles because I don't care what the water level is. I'm good. I'm solid. We're fine here. Everything's fine. How are you? And I found that quite liberating in some, because you feel real smart. You're like, I beat the game at its own game. Haha. The other thing I wanted to note, because it's something I observed as I was playing it, is more so than any of the other games this crew has made, and in fact more so than the games that it feels like influenced it, even going back to those late 90s, early 2000s rare collectathons. This game really feels like it's pulling you downward. Literally. As in through the layers. Like, it is really trying to push you along in a very harried sort of way. Because much of the levels are quite, not impassable. You can navigate them. But are much easier to navigate after you've done the stories, or at least a good chunk of the story sequence in that layer. Something about the layer changes that makes them more navigable, makes it easier to find golden bananas, makes it less dangerous to just be there and live in that space. And what that thing is depends on the layer. Yeah,
it's almost like a miniature Metroid kind of element to it in some cases, isn't it? Whereas, like, you're in a place, it's harder to get around. You get something or do something that then makes it easier to get around from that point. And I mean, look, you've got pretty comprehensive fast travel and all that, but in terms of explore it so that you can see what's where the bananas might be or anything else, so it's kind of minor element to it, but definitely, like you said, it's a different experience kind of navigating it at first versus once you actually, I guess some of it's just knowledge, getting the lay of the land, and then another part of it might be something that changes the environment or one of those Bananza transformations that changes what you can do.
Yeah. And it's, once you, like, the thing you do to change the environment many times leaves you standing at the precipice of a hole to go to the next area. Like, it really is trying to push you to the bottom quickly. Almost as if, like, they want you to see the world and then come back and clean it up. Like, I've really felt pulled along in a very discreet way.
I think that's right. I think that's the thing. I think it's one of the things that's probably somewhat in service of the narrative, or narrative is a bit strong maybe for because it's pretty light, but it's just the scenario that they're trying to construct, because I think you do feel more of that kind of sense of a particular journey and of that strong direction straight down. Versus Odyssey, which, is funny in a way because there's so many similarities. I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week in terms of, how sort of disparate would the different layers be? Would they be as varied in kind of scope and stuff as they are in Odyssey? And I mean, they pretty much are. You get some that are very quick. They're like a particular, like an odd kind of scenario, and then you move on. And then others, are much larger, much, more kind of expansive and stuff. So, in a lot of ways, it should feel very much like the journey in Odyssey, but I think just because of the specific nature of the scenario of this idea of, you just keep going down. And also, I think it's been a while since I played Odyssey, so maybe I'm, losing some of these details. That's very, very possible. But it does kind of feel like maybe there's a little more kind of invested in world building here. You kind of mentioned definitely. That weird tone to the game and stuff. It feels like they were invested a lot in that here. Just, I don't know whether because it is DK, they just feel like they can go a little harder on that, or maybe they need to go a little harder on that to get people invested in what's going on. You've got those like weird, like travelogue things from essentially the fractones that were going on the same journey that you're going on in the past. Right. And then you get the ones, the messages from, the people that live in each layer and all that kind of stuff. It's not quite, Metroid Prime scan logs, but, it's got a little bit of that kind of, let's provide context and, build up the world. We were sort of mentioned last week about, I'm not sure whether we'll get as much kind of lore building as, in Splatoon, and maybe it isn't that dense, but it's actually, you do get things explained and context provided that I wasn't expecting, that they've gone into more detail with this kind of thing. And people are gonna, get a lot of this stuff you don't really even have to interact with. You don't have to look at those messages if you don't want to, but, it's kind of there. And I would imagine it will somewhat enrich the journey for people, that do kind of take the time.
I think part of the reason it feels so much more connected than Odyssey is that it quite literally is. Like, you are going down a hole. That is what this game is. This game is go down hole. And each layer sort of, in some cases, quite literally, is built upon the layer below it. So there are layers where you find evidence of the layer just previous, because that has also come down the hole with you. But
then there's other things where it's just like, what the hell is this? This is like out of nowhere.
Yeah. There's one layer that's just a mini game. I won't really get into what it is, because it's kind of a fun surprise. Although it's been in some of the trailers apparently. That's very much like, what the F? But it's also in the counterpoint. Odyssey was explicitly, those are discrete worlds that you are flying between on your hat ship. So like the plot that they put together sort of necessitates them feeling a little bit more connected. And the villain is just kind of running their way through it. I also feel like the enemies here, they are Kongs. They are Voidco Kongs. I feel like they're just better than what are the name of the rabbits? The Brutals.
The Brutals, I want to say.
Yeah.
Is it riff on bridal and brutal at the same time?
They are so much better than the Brutals. Like, they're just better characters. They're more interesting. Their fights are better. Their fights are so much better. They're just like, there's just more to them as characters as well. Like, they have personality rather than just their wedding planners / mercenaries, which is basically what their personality was in that one. And because Nintendo wanted to make a jokey reference to rabbits living on the moon, which is what they did. Like these other Kongs, like, let's say there are many Kongs. We now know that anything that is vaguely ape-like is a Kong in this universe.
What was it? Well, that is in keeping. I noticed that there's all sorts of references, not just to the rare Donkey Kong games, but certainly to them.
Right.
What was the name of the orangutan that threw stuff at you in the DKZ games?
Oh, yeah.
He was a something Kong, wasn't he? Like, but basically you've almost got that character with Grumpy Kong. Like, but he wasn't Grumpy in DKC. It was some other name, but, it's kind of like a fleshed out version of that, like, antagonistic orangutan.
Was it Mankey?
Might Mankey. That sounds like the kind of British thing that the Rare would have put into.
Yeah. I think it was Mankey Kong. But yeah, like there are so many more Kongs now. The people who update, we were joking about Nintendo's disregard for canon. The people who update the Donkey Kong canon wiki have so many fucking Kongs to add now. And I'm delighted by that.
No, it probably referenced previous DK games a lot more than I was expecting. I don't necessarily think that's going to mean that there's going to be some sort of, disciplined continuity going into the future. It'll just be like when they make, goodness knows how long it'll take, for another game in this vein. It could be very many years. Based on, how the distance between this and Odyssey alone, let alone the distance between this and other major DK projects. But if and when they do, they'll just do whatever they feel like for the sake of that game. It does feel like it's mostly, for the enrichment of, this particular kind of journey that they kind of sort of absorb you in.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to hitting the end of this and then going back and cleaning up. I say that, but I've already completely cleaned up the first 3 levels. Like, I have the full the full assortment of bananas, assuming more bananas don't become available at the conclusion of the game. Which feels like which if this game is continuing to style off its predecessors that we've mentioned, is definitely a thing that's going to happen. I'm going to get there and it's going to be like, hi, we've added more bananas to your game. Enjoy. But also that's just a way of gatekeeping you so you don't end up overpowered. Like,
yeah, to a degree, I would have thought, yeah.
Somebody mentioned in the NWR Discord they had like 300 something when they cleared the game last night. And I'm like, I'm at almost 450 and I haven't cleared the game yet. So I am significantly more powerful than that person would have been. Although granted, the power-ups, generally speaking, like some of the skill power-ups are very useful, but a lot of them are, they're kind of a marginal increase. The game does give you like an indicator what it thinks is the next best choice for you. But I mean, if you don't want to engage with it at all, I've been just kind of doing my own thing. Once I maxed out punch, because I can now punch my way through anything, not everything, most things. But boy, this game is like, we haven't really said it. We've kind of talked about the mechanics of the game, the style of the game, the design of the game. Boy, this game's really good. I'm having last week I was like, I'm having fun, but I don't really know. But at this point, like, yeah, it's actually really good. Like, it's really fun. And the deeper I got into the game, the more I was enjoying it, which is not always the case with some of these big collectible games. Cause like you start to lose steam on it. I think the way this game consistently is introducing new stuff to do, is a strong net benefit for the game sort of keeping its steam.
Well, come up with new sort of gimmick stage kind of features or gimmicks, different kinds of materials in particular, the way this game kind of works, so that have different properties that could come in with the platforming. I mean, at times, kind of reminding me of Boom Blocks, where it's like you'll be throwing, chunks with one property trying to hit, something in the distance with another and then they're going to react and bang. And, it's a funny thing to be reminded of all these years later. Like I said, it does have, I mean, it's not like entirely robust physics, obviously, because you can do things like just, punch a bunch of scenery away and you'll leave a chunk just floating in midair, it'd be too complicated to do it. But, it will get into certain things that way. So, yeah, it just kind of, certainly, reminds you a lot of all those, kind of games from the past of EAD Tokyo and so forth. But beyond that, the rare stuff and this Boom Block sort of stuff, it is far from a pure platformer. There's just a lot of different kinds of things you're going to end up doing, and I do think that kind of helps, keep it fresh, up to, through the credits. And, like there wasn't an absolutely thorough run on my part, but, fairly, getting a good chunk of what's there to get. And it kind of felt like, there was just a lot to see and do, but even more, that I hadn't got around to. I mean, I guess standing on the kind of doorstep of the post game, the main thing that I'm kind of hoping for from, any additional kind of activities that they put in there would just be things that put the very, as we've already said, kind of versatile, moveset that DK and the other transformations along with it will kind of give you more to the test. You know what I mean? Right. Like there was definitely some time. I like the triangle portal rooms with the 3 bananas and all that, but there definitely are times where you kind of feel like, yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that, especially maybe getting the secret, more hidden, like extra banana to get out of the 3. But you could have done more. You could have gone a little further, a little harder with it, to present a bit more of a challenge. But, equally, that is the kind of thing in quite a number of previous games, in the Mario lineage at this point that has been, behind the credits. You think of like those extra worlds in 3D World where you kind of, definitely, it's quite a brisk, not terribly difficult game to get through, to the end to beat Bowser. But then those worlds at the end really kind of cranked it up.
Oh, and, my God. Yeah.
So it and then that's the thing, you probably get to that and it's like, actually, it's too difficult. I'm too old and tired to do this anymore. But now I'm thinking like, yeah, I would welcome some stuff because it's a great move. DK is so capable, especially the kind of the way they use the riff on the classic DKC roll, and then you can jump out of the roll. That's there, and in 3D. You can use that to dodge in combat scenarios, but you can also kind of, not only can you jump out of a roll, but you can kind of roll out of a jump as well. So that is your kind of jump correction move that they've basically felt the need to have some kind of version of in a lot of these, going back to Sunshine, because that's pretty much what Flood was.
Right, it's all Flood is, essentially.
Yeah, it's like, it's Mario 64. Mario 64, people struggle jumping in 3D. We need something to kind of help correct. And they had the hovering. And then, of course, in Galaxy, it was the shake to do the Luma thing. And you can use that here, in that capacity. And especially like chaining these things together with the turf surface. It's very much in the lineage of what you could do with Cappy in Mario Odyssey, but feels even more versatile. If I was halfway competent, I could probably do all sorts of stuff with this stuff. But that's the thing. Equally, there hasn't been that much of the game that's demanded competence of me, so you don't necessarily kind of, but fucking around. You end up doing something sometimes just by accident, like, oh, that was badass, but I didn't really mean to do it.
Right.
It's great, how capable they've made DK, especially with like how fast you can climb and all this stuff. Like, you feel powerful and capable.
I was hoping to get to the bottom today, before the show, but because I wanted to kind of maybe talk about it a little bit, but I'm excited to get there, and I'm excited to see what they do after I do, because one thing I'm confident is that they will offer more stuff. Like, they will offer us the ability to do other things than what's here already. What that is, I don't know yet, but I'm excited to see it and go from there. All right, I think we've beaten our chest about Donkey Kong enough. Heyo.
Wow.
Yep. No, I'm gonna stick by that one. That one's fine. That one's good even. But we're at an hour. So I'm going to suggest we take a break right here. We come back and we do some new business from the other guys so that we can then talk about something else. Good?
Stay tuned.
Yeah, but oh no, I got swerved.
Too slow.
We continue down the new business trail, and I'm going to let Guillaume resume our journey. Guillaume, what are you up to?
Yeah, well, so most evenings, Karen and I are just playing Mario Kart World.
Fair.
I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I feel like it's a perfectly fine Mario Kart game that I'm happy to keep playing for, probably months to come. If Mario Kart 8 is any indication, I'm actually going to be playing this for years to come. But I don't... You look online and you see a lot of catastrophizing or people saying, like, I don't know, weird stuff. Like, oh, I wish they had just given me a 4K Mario Kart 8 instead. It's like, are you fucking nuts? We've been playing that game for a decade. And you wanted 4K? Like, what's the point? I don't know. I barely see 4K personally. Like, I don't miss it when it's not there, so I really don't get it. But it's like, come on, it's a new Mario Kart World. So, yeah, still having fun with that. Still absolutely no idea what the final costume for a monster that I haven't unlocked is. Probably the dead fish. So, at some point it's going to happen, I assume. But, having a lot of fun with that, and we're not even playing online. Karen finds that too stressful. It's good enough to still try to go for 3 stars on everything, just in single player. But when I'm not playing that, so I've been Balatroed, I guess. I've really
Balatro pilled.
Yeah, like I've really been playing too much Balatro on 2 different platforms. That was a mistake. But I think that at this point, I'm getting Balatroed out for sure. Like it's I'm really slowing down because I'm barely making any progress. Like I'm not really unlocking stuff or getting further. Like it gets really tough after a while.
Yeah, once it gets up to about 30,000 or so, that's when it starts getting really tough, and they really start hitting you with where it almost feels like you would have to be lucky to have the right type of jokers versus the right type of handicap that they give you.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I'm not sure what the path ahead is for me. Like, sometimes you do have to be lucky. You have to have high everything, like base points, the multipliers, and then the multipliers, and that all has to come together, and it needs to be exponential. So you need to have like several jokers that just keep getting better. You can't just have like, oh yeah, this one gives you like times 15 every time. That's not good enough. That's good enough for now, but not for the end game. So yeah, and like even though I manage eventually to be able to buy everything I want from the store, everything that there is there, and like I re-roll the store several times, I'm not really getting anything that really gets me ahead. Like, so I managed to finish the 8 antis fairly regularly, I guess. But then you've got the endless run, and so I can make it past 1 million. But I think the next threshold is maybe 2 million. I haven't been able to hit that. And like it always blocks somewhere, and I always feel like, oh yeah, I've got really good stuff that I can upgrade. Every time that I use a planet card, this card gains plus 0.1 multiplier. Like that's basically like the best that you can do at that point. Like you increase the multiplier that multiplies the multiplier, and not really. It's not happening, and I've got like hundreds of dollars in the store. I spend it all to re-roll and get more and more, and but yeah, that I always know when that last hand is happening. Like because the previous hand that I played was nowhere near that, and like so when you're done basically. So yeah, so I'm moving away a little bit from Balatro. But I've been having trouble just like getting back into a different game because Balatro is so, magnetic. Like it just like, oh yeah, it would be so effortless to just sit down right now and start a new game.
that's
and
it.
Just play that.
Yep.
So
and you get the early game enjoyment of just like that, just that flow that you get into.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really hard to pull myself away from that and play something else. And that's why, like, long-time listeners might remember that at some point I was playing through all the Final Fantasies in the remastered, the Pixel remasters. And I started playing 6, but I'm still in the middle of it. I find it really hard to go back to because I feel like that was the game that was easy to get into because the Final Fantasies, basically, you could just start grinding for a while, and that could be like, okay, that was my distraction for tonight, and now I got that out of my system, and I can move on to something else. Balatro took that exact spot, and so like I've been stuck for a while, and I find that kind of a shame because Final Fantasy VI, I know like it's a lot of people's favorite Final Fantasy. I really like it, but it's a game that I've only played through in full once, the first time that I played it. And I had help from magazines, like probably, I don't know, like a Nintendo Power or something. But yeah, that was it. Then eventually, like, so I've tried at least twice to play through it again, and I never managed to make it through. And I always kind of hit kind of a wall at some point in the World of Ruin, and I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just that I like the cast, but it would be maybe more accurate to say that I like some of the cast, and some of the rest I don't really care for. And so, like, who really likes, what's his name, Strago or something? Yeah, Strago, like, who cares about Strago, right? Or Realm. I mean, what the fuck? Anyway, so I just, like, once you have the what's their last name? Sabin and Edward. Is it Edward? What's it? See, I forget the name of the characters. I haven't played this game in
a million years.
I know. Sabin and Ed. I know it starts with Ed.
Edgar.
It's Edgar, of course. 5 letters. Yep. Thank you. It could not be Edward. That's too long.
It's Edward.
Yeah. So you know, like, basically, like, they're the most powerful characters in your party that you could possibly have, it seems, because they've got attacks that can just clear the screen, basically. Like, who else do you need, really? Like, I like to have luck just to, steal stuff from characters, and then you get, like, one of the big magic users, probably Celis, or I don't know. And, like, that's it. You don't need, really, any of these other extraneous characters, but that's where I'm at right now. I'm just still assembling the cast. I'm making my way up some magic towers where you can only use magic, and I think it's in order to get Strago back, and I that's not enough to motivate me, I suppose. I'm just not into saving him at all, but eventually I'll make it back. Like, I need to finish this game. I've played the first 5 ones that are not as good. I need to finish the really good one. I'm not saying it's not good. There are low points in this otherwise excellent game, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's
been
been hard
kind of
to get back to.
Yeah, kind of a similar experience. I've wanted to get back into it, but just something with it. I feel like it has a little bit of a slow start. And it's just, it's been hard for me, as much as I love that game, and it's exactly the same thing where, I played through it once and have always wanted to go back to it, but I find that the reality of playing through it is always a lot less enticing than my thought of what it should be.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of fussiness, right? Like, if you decide for some reason to have, again, I should have brought a list of characters up on my screen here. The wild child, my God, the kid who, learns from animals that you fight.
Yep.
So him, like, if you want him, like, it's pretty convoluted what you need to do. Like, you need to send him away, so he needs to not be in your party. So, and then you fight. You get into random battles, and then eventually, like, when you're in the Veld, this location on the map, you'll see him, like, try to get back into the party, or, like, you encounter him, whatever, and you have to use the item meat to bring him back to you, and then he'll have learned somehow the moves of the enemies that you fought while he wasn't there. And it's a lot of trouble for ultimately a character who's not very good.
Gao, right? Is that who you mean, Gao?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's Gao.
Like, once you use his rages, as they're called, he's basically almost a berserker. Like, you can't really control him. He can only, like, he's controlled automatically. And he uses, like, 2 or 3 moves from this monster's repertoire of moves.
Right.
And
okay. Yep.
So it's like you've got so little control on it. Like, it can be useful sometimes, but most of the time it's you really wish that you had direct control instead.
Yeah.
And so,
sometimes it'll be useless attacks, like he'll just steal from the monster.
Yeah. Yeah, or use something that will heal them, like if you don't remember that such monster has, like, electric magic, and then, oh shit, I'm fighting these enemies that are rechargeable magic. Great. So, I don't know. Anyway, so I sound down on the game right now. Hopefully, in the next few weeks, I'll have beaten the game, and I'll be much happier about it. But, basically, right now I'm explaining, I guess, why I'm not playing Final Fantasy VI.
You're apologizing for not playing Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah. But something, so to get me out of my funk a little bit and try, like, something that was, like, low effort, to put on instead of playing Balatro for the 1000th time, I started Llamasoft the Jeff Minter story, number 2 in the Gold Master series by Digital Eclipse. So if people paid attention or remember or cared about it, like there was the Gold Master series that Digital Eclipse started. Like it's the first one was with Karateka.
Mm-hmm. I've
and
just
so
been
the
playing
second
through
one,
that recently.
So Jeff Minter is the second one. The third one is Tetris Forever. So that's probably the biggest one, the one that probably the most people got. But yeah, like I was curious. I got Karateka and the Jeff Minter one on sale recently. So but I was more curious about Jeff Minter because I've heard that name so often and never really, maybe played a few things of his here and there, but mostly I haven't because mostly he's been working on platforms that I didn't own. Like I think that for a while he was active on either Apple Arcade or whatever the indie version of that was on 360. I don't recall what it was called, but it was like a step below. Like it was for the amateurs basically to make their own to make games and to sell on there. Anyway, so platforms I didn't own, so I couldn't even play his games. So this is basically just like Atari 50. The Goldmaster series takes that same format of presenting you with a timeline, and then like on this timeline you can check out design documents that they might have found, that they might have been able to put in there, some like history tidbits. In the Jeff Minter collection, unlike the Karateka collection, Jeff Minter did not keep fucking archives of all the shit that he wrote, ever. Like it seems like who made Karateka again? Why am I blanking on that?
Why am I blanking on his name? Jordan Mechner.
Yeah, yes. Jordan Mechner. Thank you. So while Mechner seems to have had like this habit of just keeping every letter he's ever written or received, and so they had a lot of material for that.
Yeah. And that's what makes that collection really, really interesting, by the way, because it has really cool stuff like him actually going back and forth with the first game he ever wrote, going back and forth with Broderbund about that game, and it's fascinating because this is like 1980 fucking. I don't even know 80. Like actually, I think it's 79 or 80 or something. Mm-hmm. And literally, he sends them a floppy disk, and they correspond by mail.
Right,
and it's just wild. Like 6 months, like 3 months will go by before he gets feedback on his game. It's crazy. But go on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Jeff Minter, like you do see some design documents, but like he didn't keep as much of that stuff. So instead, I think that they're trying to showcase the games a little bit more, and also you get like little bits of like quotes from him about whatever, like the situation at the time that he was developing this or that game. And there is also like this was basically. At the same time as they were making this, some guy was making a documentary, Heart of Neon. So this was like a video documentary on Jeff Minter's games. So like they worked with him to basically like collect video, interviews and stuff like that. So some of that is in this collection, and I guess like at the end there's a trailer for this documentary that's going to come out eventually. So that kind of stuff is interesting, but I feel like the game didn't really, because you're going chronologically, you're getting really crummy games at first. So that's kind of the peril of putting like the focus, the spotlight on games. Like at first, what you have access to or what you're presented with is like the most basic of games from someone who's learning how to make games. And, like they're not terrible. In fact, like apparently like they were good enough that like he made copies and managed to sell them. And, like I'm sure that at the time they were holding up, right? compared to what else was on the market. But you play that today, and it's like, yeesh, okay, that's a little bit rough. But also, like, not just the games, but also the intro video is like this.
Oh no!
This type of documentary that I don't care for. You know, like these kind of like VH1 things where you've got like a bunch of people just like making, you know, like it's a puff piece about whatever the subject happens to be. So like you get a whole bunch of, you know, like older game designers and some games journalists, including the only one that I really recognize is Michael Thompson, the guy who said that you know what, Metroid Prime is citizen game of gaming, citizen kane of gaming. I can't get that out of my head.
Contributed to NWR for a time, did he not?
You did? Oh, that's quite possible.
That is a memory I have. It is not necessarily accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that is correct, yes.
Okay, I will try from now on to associate his name with the fact that he...
No, you can associate it with that ridiculous quote. So you're saying it's a video of old people glazing Jeff Minter?
Yes, a little bit, yes. But like that's the only such video, I think. You know, the rest of them are... Actually, you don't get a ton of video. Like, you do see them pop up again here and there. But most of what you're getting is, like, sometimes, like, 2, 3, perhaps 4 versions of, you know, whatever game that he made at the beginning. And, yeah, like, some commentary from Jeff Minter that may or may not be relevant. I say that, but like it's weird. Like he's basically talking about, you know, kind of like his homespun like game development business beginnings, and it's I don't know. I'm kind of missing context as to why that is like remarkable or unique,
relevant, useful, informative.
Well, so I guess like I'll get to the point here. I think that one of the main weaknesses of this collection is that, yeah, like they show you a lot about Jeff Minter, but they don't show you enough about the context that he evolved in, you know? And
what existed around him?
Yeah, like there are mentions of, you know, like, oh, there was like this convention and he went to it and sold a lot of copies. They never tell you how many copies. I guess they don't have that data. But like even then, like that gives you, that doesn't give you a mental image of where gaming was at the time, you know? Like
right.
And they will say like, oh yeah, like in the UK, like the 8-bit systems, the consoles, like didn't really make much inroads. Like it was all computer. And that changed with the 16-bit systems, but like they never quite named them outside of like Atari systems, because Atari, the company that is calling itself Atari these days, owns Digital Eclipse.
Oh
so
my
they
God.
have the rights. They have the rights to refer, you know, to stuff that they own, I guess. But like,
can I make a pause here real quick?
Sure.
Atari 50 announced a Namco-based DLC because
I saw that.
They sold the naming rights to Atari, or the brand rights to Atari, specifically in Japan, to Namco, meaning even at the fucking beginning, nobody knew who the fuck owned Atari.
Yeah.
Godforsaken corporate brand. I won't even say company, because it's not one company. It's like 9 of them. This
Sure.
godforsaken corporate brand.
So Atari sold the rights to their name to Namco.
In Japan, specifically.
Yeah.
At that moment in time. So now we're getting Namco's versions of Atari games in Atari 50. Fuck me, I guess.
I don't know. That's pretty cool. But so I guess my point is like they will talk about that's the thing. Like they will show you a picture of God, what is it? So at a certain point, yeah, like the Llamasoft kind of struggles because of the arrival of the Genesis and the Super Nintendo or Super Famicom. But like they mention stuff like the British game consoles, and they talk about the Konix multi-system. And it's
Oh
like,
God.
I know that you know, James, about the Konix multi-system.
Yeah.
I do have a picture here. They explain, basically the basic premise, and I remember having seen these pictures online without really much context, but they don't give you enough info about them that you won't need to go to Wikipedia later to get the full story.
Yeah.
I don't think the Konix came out, did it?
No, I
No,
don't
that's
think it
the
ever
thing.
did.
No, it
No.
didn't. So
Oh,
they
okay.
explain how,
Yeah.
like, Jeff Minter was working on a game for it. And then they even show you, like, well, it never came out, but here's what it might have played like. And then they actually give you a kind of a prototype of the work that had been done so far on it, So it's pretty complete in that way. So I have a very good idea of what Jeff Minter made for the Konix system, but, like, they won't even show pictures of, Super Mario World or Sonic the Hedgehog, right? Because they don't have the rights to do that, I suppose.
Well, you could absolutely show them in a documentary context without securing the rights. You
Right.
couldn't put like a whole bunch of video, but you could do enough to mention them. This is purely an ego flex.
Yeah,
But
I feel like maybe they felt like they couldn't, so they didn't
Maybe.
take that chance. But so that's what I mean, right? Like there's not enough of the context surrounding what he was doing to really get an idea of what was unique about it, or like.
I did not wake up today thinking that I might have to think about the Konix multi-system. So thank you for that, Guillaume.
Yeah, I didn't have that on my bingo
you're
card.
welcome.
But like that, if I was producing a documentary, it would be a complete rambling mess of all kinds of fucking side tangents, and you'd have to understand why the Amstrad CPC was a complete failure. But I get why that's not relevant to the story they're trying to sell, which is that Jeff Minter's a cool guy who makes neat things.
Sure.
But you're right. Like, fundamentally, Jeff Minter's, I don't want to say value as a creator, Jeff Minter's status as a creator is in no small part, not because he didn't make good stuff, but it was helped because he was in effectively the cocoon of a market that was very insular, and we did not have the penetration of the international players to the same degree because the hardware they were developing their games on did not penetrate that market the same way.
Yeah, I mean, part of his appeal is the fact that he is kind of seen as this a kind of outlaw developer who never really put out games on the big systems. He stayed indie.
Right.
That's sort of his whole thing.
But also, like, he was the native son.
Mhm.
Like, that was a big part of the appeal there. And that's not to denigrate the games, and they have their own appeal, but, like, that's the reason he was able to reach the level of general knowledge that he attained. Because he was operating in a system that wasn't full of the international players, particularly the ones coming out of Japan, that were like dominating the noise in that space.
Right.
But they also didn't have the irony of ironies, didn't have the Atari market crash, because Atari also never really made the big play into that market.
Right.
Because that was a business run by, I'm going to assume, cocaine. And
Right.
I mean, you'd go look at Nolan Bushnell from that era and tell me he didn't use coke.
Oh,
Actually, he probably used LSD, to be honest. But
they had a hot tub in the office, did they not?
that is cocaine as shit. That is
like as if I remember correctly from, because I do have the Atari 50 collection or whatever, and I'm pretty sure they said that there was a hot tub in the Atari office.
But no, that totally makes sense.
Yep.
But to jump to your point then, like, all of that is important if you're trying to tell the story of what he built and how he built it and why he is, like, to borrow the quote, why this man is significant.
Right.
But if you ignore all that and just like he's significant because he made these games, and then show you early Llamasoft games, or really, I don't think the term Llamasoft existed yet at that moment. You're going to struggle with that. And like Rare Replay, which is kind of like not the genesis of these, because we had these retro collections dating back to the PlayStation era. But like, Rare Replay was the one that tried to package it in, I'm going to use the word glazing again, of the company in a way that many of the previous retro collections didn't. It was just like, here's a collection of Intellivision games. And I'm like, cool. That's going to play like shit on a PS2 controller. But they also didn't really give you the context as to why a lot of the things are the way they are. So you're just given like 9 ZX Spectrum games and they're all fucking terrible. And they look like dog shit. And you're like, no, these Ultimate Play the Game games are classics. And I'm like, no, they're not.
No, they're terrible. They're old. They're not classic. There's a difference.
They're actually fucking trash. And it's like, if I have the context, okay, maybe, but without the context, they're just bad.
Yeah, and there are a few games in here that are kind of, maybe like more of in the vein that the early Rare stuff that is on that collection. But for the most part, I think that one of the things that saves this anthology or documentary or whatever it's called,
Documythology,
the Jeff Minter story, is that he was copying a lot of the biggest arcade games of the time. So that's one funny thing that comes out of this. It's like, he didn't have that many original concepts. Basically, like, he took Defender and put some llamas in it. He took The Empire Strikes Back by Parker Brothers, the one, and like, okay, so replace the ATs with camels.
So it's Attack Camels, right?
Yeah. And all stuff like that. Like, he's got like his own Centipede clone. Like, that's one of his earlier games. So there's a lot of stuff here that's just not it's not super original, but at least it is fast-paced arcade games that, even if they're off-brand, some of them are better than others, but they're actually fun to play. Like, one of the games that came out apparently in 1991 is Llamatron 2112. Can you guess what's a ripoff of?
Robotron 2084, maybe?
Yeah. It sure is. And it is exactly that game. It plays exactly like that. It might have like some different sprites on there, definitely more llamas. But it is Robotron. But the fact is that Robotron is pretty fun even today. So I enjoyed playing Llamatron 2012 on here because it's almost like playing Robotron. So, yeah. And yeah, I'm not being very generous here. Like, he does have some good ideas, but that's maybe like I wish that they gave me more of that context, right? Of that's what the scene was back in the day. Like, the developers would take like one big game and put their own spin on it, and then call it their own game.
I've been thinking about Congo Bongo all week because of Donkey Kong. Like,
because I brought it up in the Discord.
It was already in my head when you did it, and then it just got stuck there.
Right.
I was because at one point I was thinking like, Congo Bongo, huh? And like, I was like, that just popped into my brain. I'm like, well, I didn't need that. And then you mentioned it in the Discord, and then it's just fucking there forever. And I'm like, shit. Congo Bongo's just going to live in my brain.
What's the context here for Congo Bongo? Congo Bongo
is Sega reacting to Donkey Kong from 1981.
Okay,
so it's
that game.
Donkey Kong.
Yeah, I know what Congo Bongo is. I just wanted to know what the context was like in relation to Donkey Kong.
It's the idea that like we have Donkey Kong at home, and now he's isometric.
Okay,
it's like okay, I guess.
Yeah.
And if you look at the systems that something like Congo Bongo comes out on, there's some very interesting omissions, namely systems that had licensed versions of Donkey Kong.
Yeah, that Congo Bongo is a pretty terrible game as well.
Oh, fuck yeah, it is.
It's terrible.
Me, earlier in the week, I was just saying that as a kid, as a child, in the family, in the home where we had a 10D1000 bought at Radio Shack, probably.
Yep.
I was more familiar with Congo Bongo than Donkey Kong, because we had Congo Bongo in the thing, but not Donkey Kong.
Was there actually an officially licensed Congo Bongo? Because the Tandy computers, I had, when I was growing up, I had a buddy that had one, and they had, instead of Gauntlet, they had Gantlet, which was just a rip-off of Gauntlet, done for Tandy and not licensed, obviously, at all. But
I don't know
had
about
they had
licenses,
a slew
but
of games like that.
I can certainly tell you that they were just copied, floppies.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, Nintendo's just as guilty of this. I mean, go fucking look at what is it? Balloon Fight. Like it's just it's just Joust. They made Joust.
Yeah.
Like this is just the thing people did back then. It was. I mean, they still do it now, but it's much more expensive to make just hard clones of games now. But if you go to the eShop, you'll see some fucking Rage game got big with streamers, and then within a month, there's 4 other ones with very similar names,
right?
Poised to take your money. This isn't new. But do they give that context at all? Do they mention the game he's clearly borrowing heavily from, or do they just go also this original product he made?
No, they do flat out say here is Defender, his take on Defender, and back in the day, changing the ER for an A was good enough to hopefully get away from any kind of lawsuits. So they do mention that, but they never fucking show you Defender. However, you don't see one picture of the original, but you do get to play Jeff Minter's Defender. Yeah.
Which,
so that's... yeah.
Wait, who owns Defender?
I mean, it was from Williams, right?
That was a...
Yeah, it was Williams, yeah.
Yeah, the Eugene Jarvis.
Yeah, so that would mean it now belongs to...
probably...
Atari, right?
Would it? I don't know. Would it be... who owns Mortal Kombat?
That's Warner's, yeah.
Warner does.
I would guess that Defender's probably under Warner.
Fuck me.
I would think. But
Fuck me.
I don't know.
So yeah, I think ultimately, this is the big weakness of this, is that, I miss all the context that someone like Jeremy Parish will give you in his YouTube videos. NES Works and stuff like that, because he really goes into okay, to understand Paperboy, we need to look at all the movies that came out in 1988 or something. He's that kind of depth, or you talk about the political context around the time that this or that game came out. And
people
I feel
fucking hated Paperboys as the political context, and set out ghosts, monsters, and Frankenstein's creation to stop him.
Right. Well, the Gold Master series Paperboy collection will probably not get into that as much as someone like Jeremy Parish would. So that's ultimately, I think, the weakness is, but. You do get to, okay, I can just play this now. And most of the games I don't play for very long because I get the idea. It's a less good Centipede. But some of them are actually, I will say that I might go back to Tempest 2000, which is the most recent game on there, unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 1994. And, but, that's pretty good. Lamatron 2112, I quite enjoy, actually. There's some stuff I might go back to, but, know what you're getting, I guess. I feel like this series of documentary games might be aimed at people who were there for it, who actually remember the context for all of this shit. And it's not quite as good to onboard people who have no idea, who might not have been born in 1980 when, this guy programmed his first game. So, yeah, that's ultimately where I come down on it. But it is interesting. Like I do have more information than I did before, certainly, and it's good to be able to actually have hands-on play. You know, I can play this, I can try this, but yeah, it's a little bit. I find the context a little bit lacking.
That's a shame. Because like I think it could be fun if people wanted to dig in to just like give them footnotes they can explore some content on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you're right. Like there didn't need to be a big digression on the Konix multi-system. They could have just shown it, and you would have like they wouldn't even need to say it failed. They could have just shown you a picture of its fucking weird controller, which is essentially just a steering wheel attached to the console itself.
They do have a blurb, and they do show a picture of the console. They do show also articles, like a couple of articles on the upcoming Konix system, you know, like from a magazine
Insane
back in the day.
shit.
So that's pretty good, right? Except that they don't, like the resolution of the article is just low enough that it's uncomfortable trying to actually read the thing.
Nice.
Like they give it to you as a picture and you can zoom in on it.
Oh, they couldn't just have somebody type it up so you can read it?
And they didn't do that. Like I looked for it.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
It's not like these were long articles. You could have there wasn't that much to say about the Konix.
Well, yeah, these pages were pretty full, but I mean, like, just scan it and, you know, use the character
OCR
recognition and yeah.
But still, or just hire a temp to type it at $15 an hour. Done. Problem solved. Like there's part of me that's like, okay, you could do something interesting there where like when Minter made a decision like I'm going to make a game for this thing, to be like, what did they tell you that made you think this was a viable platform? I want to know the answer to this because like you can look at it and go like, that thing's never going to fucking launch.
Yeah. He just seemed to really like making games for just doomed consoles.
Well, I mean, the Konix, from what I could gather, the vibe that I got from the Goldmaster series is that the entire UK seemed to believe that, like, oh, these 16-bit consoles are dead in the water because the Konix is coming. And then the Konix didn't come.
The Konix is coming.
Yeah. Man, it's
I don't know. Like maybe Greg has a different perspective on this, but
that's a hell of a war cry.
I mean, this would have been 90, I think. In that time
89.
Frame? Okay.
89, yeah. So before the Super Nintendo came out in North America, I believe.
Yeah, and James, I think Defender is owned by Warner Brothers at this point because Williams, they actually bought Bally Midway, changed the name to Midway, and so Midway wound up owning the rights to Defender and all of the Williams games and the Atari arcade games. They went to Midway, and then Midway, they eventually went bankrupt. Eventually, and then
shocking.
Yeah, and so they went bankrupt, and then Warner Brothers bought most of their assets, so I'm assuming Defender is probably with Warner Brothers now.
God. Just terrible.
Yep.
Just awful.
But yeah, the Konix multi-system, man, I have not heard that for a long time.
Good. You can just look at it and go, this looks like fucking trash, man.
Yeah.
Trash!
Presented in 1989, and it was canceled. Related, Atari Jaguar. Wow. That's just like...
That's the meanest thing you could say. Related Atari Jaguar. You can't,
wow.
There's no phrase that could be tagged on you that's meaner than that.
That's crazy.
Because there's nothing good to be, like, whoa. But like part of me does love that era of just like, especially at the very end of it when people were just taking wild swings because they knew the writing was on the wall.
Yeah. Nobody really knew what they were doing.
We've had this market to ourselves or with other small players for nigh on 15 years. We haven't had to keep up with the times. We haven't had to compete. This is our market and we can just live in it. And suddenly, like, international players with means-tested products that have gone through the rigor of being released on 3 other continents show up with just this air of professionalism and design, and technology that just doesn't exist in the platforms that are native, and they're just like, we need, and this is essentially the Nintendo DS, but executed with none of the grace.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we need something quick that has a gimmick that we can sell, and that's how you end up with the Konix with the big dumb steering wheel. Literally, as part of the console, it had a big fucking steering wheel on. I think you could swap it for other ones.
Yeah, it says right here, for the Konix multisystem. Jeff Minter described the controller itself as superb, quote-unquote, while Chris Walsh of Argonaut Games stated that polygon-based games like Starglider 2 are going to be easy to program. The machine is geared up to rotate masses of vertices at incredible rates.
What a fucking phrase!
Masses of vertices of incredible rates. That's the Konix. That's its calling card, you know? Hi, my name's Konix.
Mm-hmm.
I got masses of vertices at incredible rates. Oh, man.
Thank you for giving me an episode title. I just, what the fuck? I mean, it's beautiful.
It is a lot of just buzzword bingo. Completely.
Everything about this is great. But like, a lot of markets had these. Like, the international market is coming and we're fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, by the way, this is why international trade is good, because it snuffs out domestically protected garbage with real things. Like, I understand that might be bad for those companies, but they're making bad products and you are being denied good ones.
Lucasfilm was potentially lined up to release their own branded version of the machine in the US, but nothing was ever confirmed. This is crazy.
That's psychotic behavior.
This is just wild. I didn't even know, man. This is a deep dive I gotta do.
Oh my god. This is way weirder than the Casio Loopy with the sticker printer. This is way weirder. Oh,
turn the steering wheel to wield your lightsaber around. I don't know.
Probably. It's probably just the Snowspeeder and television game was going to come with it, which is bad. It's bad. Yeah, but that's the one you're mentioning that Minter turned into fuck.
Giant,
I literally
camels.
Yeah, mutant camels. Yeah, it's like fucking hell. And it's that game. Like, I've played that. I've played the original release of that thing, and I've played the mutant camels. And yeah, it's that game with all of the flaws that come with that game, namely being it's not very good. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, John, what are you up to?
Well, I've been playing Gaiares, which is a Genesis shoot 'em up. I got it on Switch 2. It's out there, but it was on sale. It's on sale right now, actually. And this is an especially notable game for me because it's one that I never played. This is kind of from the golden era of shoot 'em ups, very much a contemporary of R-Type and Axelay and like Thunder Force, games like that. But this one was released in 1990 on the Mega Drive, 91 across the pond over onto the Sega Genesis. And this was kind of sold as one of the top tier shoot 'em ups at the time.
This is a Telnet game, right?
Yeah, this is Telnet. Very, very much like R-Type. It owes a lot to R-Type. Different weapons that you can cycle through, but it also has kind of a little familiar that you can either shoot out or also shoots for you and kind of follows you around, much like the R-Type style. You play the character Dan Dare in the US version. And this is something that to me was very, very typical of Japanese anything at the time. For some reason, Japanese, like in the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of Japanese characters, they all had Spanish names. So the character, they seemed very, very fond of like Spanish names. And I don't know if the Japanese thought that those names were exotic or something, but the main character in this game, which it makes me laugh that these games have so much story because they're just a starship shooting at a bunch of things. But this is a character, his name is Diaz. But, of course, in the U.S., they have to dumb it down, and his name is Dan Dare. So...
It's so much dumber. It's
so much worse, yeah. And they do that with all of the different characters. But, I don't know, it's the same thing. The plot is the Earth has been polluted, and these bioterrorists want to use the the toxic waste on the Earth to create bioweapons of mass destruction. Your starship,
As you do.
Yeah, your starship has to go in and save the universe, kind of thing. It's a typical setup. This game, it looks pretty good. I have to say, I mean, I'm save stating the hell out of this thing because it's very, very difficult. These games are like no joke. All of these scrolling shooters. I have to say,
they're mean.
Yeah, the craziest thing about this one though is, some of the backgrounds that it uses are just, they're so wild. Like, do not play this game if you have epilepsy. Just don't do it. Because some of the backgrounds actually make it pretty hard. Not only are they extremely flashy and very much kind of constantly moving patterns and stuff like that, they actually make it difficult to see some of the enemies on screen. And I think they just kind of let their imagination run away with what they wanted to do, just kind of like to try to make this a graphical showpiece that actually kind of affects gameplay, because this is a very fast-paced game. A lot of enemies are coming at you in a very short period of time with a lot of, kind of bullet hell sort of thing where, you have to not only dodge the enemies, but you have to dodge their lingering bullets that they shoot at you from all directions. So, yeah, it can get pretty crazy at times. The bosses are pretty cool. Haven't played all the way through it. I've played through, I think, about 4 of the levels. I think I'm probably on the 5th level. But yeah, the bosses are pretty cool. Not overly difficult. The difficulty mainly stems from you can adjust the speed of your ship. So that is kind of part of it strategically. You have, slow, medium, and fast. And so against some bosses, you put it on fast because you're evading them a lot. And then with some bosses, you have to kind of more strategically dodge their fire. So you might want to slow down a bit. Usually I played on medium just because it seemed to be a pretty good speed, to dodge things, but also not feel like you're out of control. But there's definitely some bosses you have to crank your ship speed up to fast, because otherwise you just won't be able to dodge, or they move around the screen and you have to go above them and then below them, kind of thing. But no, it's pretty good. I did expect maybe, it's weird, like with shoot 'em ups of this time period, I always expect, I have to remind myself that this isn't on the Super Nintendo, because I'm always kind of thinking, like, when are they going to have the Mode 7 effects kick in here? And it's like, oh, right, this is on the Genesis, so it doesn't have it. So, really, if anything, it kind of makes me want to go and play Axelay.
It's got blast processing.
It does have blast processing. This is very true.
There is an Axelay collection that you can get.
There is.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Was there an Axelay 2? Am I imagining that?
Are you conflating Alesta with Axelay?
Oh, fudge. Yeah, I might be.
Yeah, because there's only one Axelay game, whereas Alesta is a whole bunch of different games. There was the collection.
But
of,
wasn't Axelay part of a? Ignore me. I don't know.
It's been on Virtual Console. It was on Wii U. I'd quite like to see it come to NSO. I can't imagine Konami doing much else with it. But it's because there's a lot of things that they'll sell in Contra collection, Konami, shooter arcade collection. This Gradius one that's coming up. The Castlevania collections, but something like Axelay is because it's just kind of. Not an arcade shooter, not in a Gradius lineage. It was just its own thing, kind of a bit like Life Force or Salamander, in that it alternated between the sort of vertical and horizontal modes. But with the vertical one, it had the Mode 7 kind of effect to give it a sort of a little bit of a 3D effect and stuff. Very cool game, cool soundtrack, but not something that's been available in a bit now.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't have any Mode 7 shooters to propose, but I will say that Edea, I guess, who's the publisher of the game you're playing, Gaiares. Mm-hmm. So Edea has a sale on all their similar shit. They published Psychic Storm, Granada, Avenger. These are all Sega Genesis shooters, I believe.
Yeah.
They've also got the Valis games on sale.
Which are Telnet developed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one.
So they made the Valis series, and there's like 9 of them.
Yeah, this Telenet Japan.
It's an all-time low. Like, they've never been...
Valve has never been so affordable.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it surprised me. This game is $15 US, which I think is way too much. So it's 50% off.
Yeah.
$7.50, and I had like $5 in like Nintendo Magic Points or whatever. So it cost me a grand total of $2.48, which I think is completely fair. But the one thing I will say, gameplay-wise, that I forgot to mention here is the way it differs from something like R-Type is you still have like the little familiar kind of bot that kind of hangs around you, but you can steal. The way that you acquire new weapons is you fire that thing out at enemies, and it steals their kind of weapon. So, which can be a little confusing at times.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. But sometimes if you kind of do it in the heat of battle, and all of a sudden your weapon changes, you're like, oh god, and then all of a sudden it can make things more difficult. So I usually stick with one weapon and just like roll with that. But definitely there's some areas of the game where if you go in and you just keep the default, it's not that you can't do damage, but they'll pull stuff on you like they'll put you in an area where you have to shoot through stuff in order to get to the other side. So which is obviously better done with some weapons than others. So, but yeah.
I'm stuck looking at the games that they published and made, and there's some winners on here.
Yeah, so there's 18 weapons in total that you can capture. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So overall, pretty neat. I mean, it'd be a good time. Like, would I pay $15 for this? No. $7.50? Maybe. It's pretty neat, and the package that they have, they've added a lot to it. It has review or rewind, I should say. So you can save your game. You have 4 save slots to save your game at any time. And you can rewind the game. The rewind is a bit goofy. I prefer rewind where it's sort of like, kind of like rewinding, a cassette tape sort of thing. I've seen that in some games, and they have that on Virtual Console as well. I prefer that kind of rewind where you can literally just sit there and hit one of the triggers, and it literally takes the game
rewind.
Backwards. Yeah, it literally rewinds the game. This one, it's you hit the left shoulder button, and it brings up a dialogue that says, do you want to rewind the game? And you click A, and it takes you back a few seconds. And then you have to do that again. You have to keep bringing up that menu if you want to go back. And
Ew.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying. It still works, but it's a little bit clunky. I don't really know why they did it that way. Probably because it was the easiest way to do it, but
probably.
But yeah, but it's good to have it in there though, because it does the trick. Because a lot of times you'll just make a wrong move and get hit by some stray bullets or something, and so you just rewind once and you just move the other way. So it works pretty well. But yeah, so pretty cool. The other topic I want to talk about quickly, if I could rant about Xbox for a moment, is how they shut down their TV and movie store last Friday. Completely out of nowhere, I woke up on Friday morning.
Shut down is the only word to describe it. I mean, it is like they barred the doors.
It's gone. Yeah, so I wake up on Friday morning and I check, and there's a notification from my Xbox app that says Xbox is no longer selling movies or TV shows. You can still watch what you've purchased, but you can no longer purchase new movies and TV shows. And that was it.
It's so suspicious. Because usually when something like this happens, you get forewarning, right?
Yeah.
Like, in a couple of days, better get whatever you wanted to get. Here's a flash sale, actually. This kind of stuff has happened before, but this is so sudden.
When they shut down the 3DS shop. Hey, we're shutting this down, and it actually made me go and buy a bunch of games that I hadn't picked up on the 3DS eShop.
I mean, they told us, a year in advance?
Yeah.
That they were going to shut it?
Yeah, this was completely out of nowhere, and it was a real bummer for me because, I've been, I kind of chose way back. I said, okay, well, I'm going to attach all my movie purchases to my Microsoft account just because it's Microsoft. It's not going to go away, right? Oh, how naive I was. And so I had about 3, there was a bunch of movies on there that were get the license to this movie free because you have Game Pass kind of thing, and there was a bunch of anime kind of fell into that kind of arena with my account. where, stuff like Naruto and Bleach and stuff like that, where it was just like, oh, hey, you have Game Pass, you get a free season of whatever.
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff I don't really care about.
I got a lot of unwanted anime also.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of that stuff I don't care about, but there's a lot of stuff I paid cash money for on that account. My total movie count was, and this is the thing, because I like wallowing in this sort of thing after it happens, I actually went through and I made a list of every single movie that I had on there, because what I wanted to do, so I owned, I think, 355 titles in total, and that also includes like some seasons, right? Like I had like all of the TV seasons that I'd bought, they don't carry over anywhere. They do have Movies Anywhere, which allows those licenses to carry over to Amazon. So on Amazon right now, I have I can go over to Amazon Video and I have 184 movies on there, right? Of the 355 that I had or so. So it's not a total loss. And granted, yes, I can still watch these things on my Xbox, but the problem is I need an Xbox console to watch them. So if I divest myself of the Xbox ecosystem, which is very highly possible after various jackass moves by Xbox like this, I will just not be able to watch that. And the other kicker is, Xbox, they have never had a smartphone app to watch movies. So the only way that I can watch these movies that I can't access on my Amazon account is to watch them via the Movies and TV app on an Xbox console.
Which is dumb, because the Xbox app already does 8 million things.
Yeah. It's really stupid.
Like the Xbox app is already bloated. What would putting a video player in there have harmed?
Yeah, and I mean, and all the app. That's why I never understood. I always thought it was very suspicious that they didn't create a smartphone app for this, because it would be the most. I mean, that Xbox app is as simple as you can get, and all this does is, I mean, all the smartphone app would have to do is log you in, and then just pull from a streaming endpoint. That's it.
This is basically us begging Microsoft, don't make us make a Plex server. We don't want to.
It's,
Please.
I mean, it's crazy. It's like, and I think what really annoys me is I feel like I've done everything right here, And
right. You did everything that was supposed to be done.
Yeah. These movies, and it was like, Greg was talking about a little bit earlier, I think probably before we hopped on here, was that he used this service to get some movies that he couldn't get where he lives, right? So
that's right. Yeah, that was the principal thing for me. I mean, my experience of streaming apps is generally like Apple. If you're doing the buy and rent stuff or whatever, like Apple TV seems to be the best. It's just their compression or something, like whatever your bandwidth is, it just looks better. Like if you've seen the baseball games they have on there, that's the best I've seen live sport anything. Any broadcast of live sport, because I haven't really seen a lot of like 4K stuff, because it isn't 4K, I don't believe. It's just, it looks really good. And then like with the 4K movie streams and stuff, again, it's not going to be as good as a disc, but it looks, very good. But Microsoft was probably better than some of the other ones. And like I said, because just the way their kind of account system works, it was relatively easy to look at other stores, other regions, Microsoft stores, and see stuff, that they might have that wasn't available in your region. For me, definitely a bunch of the 90s Godzilla movies that like Sony, I think, have got the rights to in America, but it just seems like no one has here. Like, you can't get them legitimately. They're not on disc. They're not, I mean, Criterion did, the older ones up to the 70s here, like they did in America, but those ones from, the kind of mid 80s up until the Emmerich movie or whatever, you can't really get, but so I got a bunch of those on there and other stuff, and it was just this convenient way of looking for stuff like that. And I got in a kind of routine. Obviously I've still got, my Xbox One hooked up and all that. You can watch it on there, if it's convenient enough. And then all of us, one week, it's just gone. And although, we were talking about it before, they did, somebody somewhere, some brave soul thought, you know what, this decision coming down from corporate is bullshit, and we can't tell the people, but we can give them little cryptic hints that the shutdown is coming.
Damn it.
So on the Tuesday, I'm checking the store, the American front page, as usual, to see if there's any new things that are of interest or any offers that might be of interest. And rather than a new film, I'm presented with the very gritty, very, kind of stern visage of one Arnold Schwarzenegger with "End of Days" written, in big letters, and then
a movie that I saw in the theater, by the way, Greg.
Oh no! I
still regret that.
You want to talk about the phrase "turn of the millennium"? I mean, the zeitgeist.
Yes.
It's firmly in that zeitgeist. It's sort of like, what if Schwarzenegger was in something a cross between like The Omen and Seven? But Kevin Pollock's there cracking jokes like his usual suspects.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's like End of Days. And then in the other corner, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which audience... It was the fourth one. It was nowhere near the last one.
Yeah, it's it's a very specific reference.
And the thing is, I was like, something's up here, but I was too fucking stupid to know or even conceive that it could be that they're going to shut it down on Friday.
Normally constituted people don't see hidden messages in their storefront.
I know, no.
That's because your eyes are closed.
Fucking prone to mental illness enough. I don't need Microsoft fueling it. Just bark.
Greg, you're picking up you're Mr. Anderson picking up the phone over there. You really are.
More turn of the millennium zeitgeist.
Open your fucking eyes.
Just on every level, terrible. There was a movie I was even thinking about, like another one of these ones that's not available. There's a new Mike, of Audition fame, has got another one of those yokai Guardians movies that are like the sort of sequels to the old Daya yokai movies. And in which I think Daimajin is in this one. If you've ever seen the old Daimajin kaiju movies. I was like, again, that's probably never coming out in Britain in any form. I could rent that for $5 or whatever. I would have done it. And then, especially if they said, well, you've got a week to do it. But no, there was, it just, you had your chance to decode the cryptic message, and past that, you were shit out.
Yeah. But of course,
I love it.
You're just SOL either way, because what are you going to do? Invest more in a dying platform? Like what?
Hell yes.
Like so here's I've done the math, and just so here's some highlights of the movies that I have that are now orphaned on this Xbox service.
Audience,
right?
They were not highlights.
Yeah, they're lowlights, but American Psycho, Apocalypse Now, all the Beverly Hills Cop trilogy, Band of Brothers in the Pacific. I had those. Bloodsport. Bloodsport, Collateral, Crocodile Dundee, The Crow, Django Unchained. This is like a window into my tastes here. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Footloose, Forrest Gump, all the Friday the 13th, Greg.
Yes!
I had them all.
Yes!
I had them all.
Apocalypse Now also would have been a good one to put on the front page.
I think there were more, to be fair. I don't know whether I even ended up I think if you went to the special offers section, because I ran this down eventually after it happened, I'm like, is there some way I could, I found a forum thread on Blu-ray.com where people had sniffed it out and that this might be what it was. And apparently, if you went on the sales section, there were a few more that were beyond End of Days and finding the final chapter.
People were seeing through the scene.
But whether one of those was Apocalypse Now, I don't know. It could have been any various apocalyptic scenarios, I guess.
Yeah. Other ones, Gangs of New York, Gladiator, Godfather, the entire Indiana Jones series, all of John Wick, all of Kill Bill, all of the Rambo movies, Greg.
Cobra? Is Cobra on there?
No, well, we're
course.
past C.
Cobra's-
We can't be at Cobra.
Let me see.
But I mean, to be fair,
well,
John,
okay.
I mean, you back me up here. I mean,
Cobra-
if you're dealing with a film of the caliber of Cobra, I mean, you got to go physical for that, haven't you? You got to go for Arrow Video.
Right, you
it's
get
true.
it. You get it on original
Arrow
print
Video.
film. Yeah.
Right.
Arrow Video have got a 4K physical release. It may have already come out by now, or maybe not.
Why?
But, this is why. Because the packaging of it has actually got a giant slice of pizza with the scissors on it. They know. They know exactly
They
what
know.
they're selling on that. They know.
They know why
that-
people are here.
They know it's easier to have the picture of the pair of scissors and the pizza slice than it is to say this film we're selling you is total bollocks. It's just more efficient that way.
Now with Cobra, I'm good because I can watch that on Amazon. That shows up on Amazon for me, but all these other ones don't. Saving Private Ryan, the Terminator, Terminator Dark Fate, Godfather Part 3, all of the Hunger Games, all the Transformers movies, Wayne's World, Weekend at Bernie's. I mean, come on. These are classics.
Only good movies here, like Weekend at Bernie's.
But the absolute
Another
most-
one they could have put on the store at that point.
Yeah. But the most ironic kick in the balls is the fact that I had all of the James Bond movies. Like I bought one of the, the bundle that had all the James Bond movies. They are not on Amazon, even though Amazon
own it. Yeah,
bought
they
MGM
own it. Yeah.
and now owns all the James Bond movies. So there you go. There you go. There you go. This is the future. Digital ownership is the future, guys. This is the future right here.
The Desperate Hours, that could have been up there.
That's
Yeah,
a
that'd have
good
been a good
call.
one.
Is that Chris Pine? That one? Is that movie I'm thinking of?
Time Cop, also orphaned.
Oh.
No, that Desperate Hours is a
Oh,
Bogart
okay.
film.
Maybe it's a remake or something. I saw, or it's
there
just
could
a
have been a
similar
remake,
title.
yeah.
I forget. There was something I saw with him and that had a similar name.
Yeah. For some reason, I had Terms of Endearment. No longer. Shirley MacLaine, never going to get watched by me. Yeah. So, Trading Places, orphaned. Yeah.
I have like the first two Neon Genesis Evangelion Redux or whatever they're called movies on
is
there.
that 1.1, 2.2 or whatever?
Yeah, and I think there's like two more, right? I was planning on buying them eventually, but I guess that's not happening now. But like, this pisses me off also because there were also just like, in Greg's situation, some movies, some shows that I couldn't get in Canada other than on Xbox, it seems. Like for whatever reason, I don't know, like rights can be like tricky, I guess. Like I don't know who has the right in Canada to broadcast Adult Swim stuff, but like the Venture Brothers, like a lot of difficulty finding those seasons, or like I'm missing one.
Weird.
I think like Canada is missing one season 7 of 8, or it's
not
it's
even
really
the
fucked
last
up.
season. Like
No. So this is one less possibility to for us to turn to for stuff. So like I don't know. This kind of stuff almost, a similar thing happened to me before because I bought stuff off of Google Play and they eliminated that. But like they had, they were like, well, your shit is on YouTube now, which is not the end of the world. Actually, YouTube is only more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine. But like this situation and Google Play and other stuff just tells me like, don't buy movies. You're a chump if you do.
Yeah, like you're dumb.
Well,
if you buy
it's
movies.
the whole buy or rent thing. It's rent and rent indefinitely. That's actually what it is.
Yes.
But I mean, if you can get to yourself to a price and a place where you're sanguine with that, well, fine. But that is what it is.
So Greg resulted in me ending up on Arrow Video's webpage, and indeed it is pizza with scissors. But I just want to point out.
Also, the Pine movie's finest hours. Apologies.
Okay. The only the best content from Arrow Video, like Microwave Massacre and Basket Case, which is a monster.
Oh yeah. 4K Basket Case. You've always wanted that.
I've always wanted that. Yes, I just didn't know it. Or also, now that I know it, I still don't want that.
You early in the show, I believe you talked about the value of finding, the things that people don't know they want. So,
it's true. But see, I've seen Basket Case. I'm aware I don't want it.
Oh, you haven't seen it till you've seen it in 4K.
That's true. You know what? I have seen it stone cold
Imagine
sober.
how much more obvious like some of the wigs are going to be in that movie. In 4K.
I did.
It is true though. If you even just a good Blu-ray, like wigs and fake mustaches are just
oh
so
my god,
obvious
they're
in
so
all the
obvious.
movies. It's just like God, they think they could get away with this. And it wasn't going to be digital and really clean looking.
Rubber masks that aren't. They don't make up the sides, so they don't blend to the face. But they're like, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Yeah, it's bad. There was some movie I watched. It was 4K, but it was shot on VHS to start with because it was like a small production. And I'm like, you can't up-res this to 4K. It looks like dog shit. And then I realized it looks like dog shit either way, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but there you go. So,
but
joke's on
if
me.
You wanna,
pretty much.
Well, I mean, it always is. Mm-hmm. So like that's not new. I suggest you get into the act of collecting physical media again, John.
I don't want that though. It's
gone very well for you in the past.
I don't want physical media at all.
No, I don't.
People
either.
send your Plex server info to.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say
send at NintendoWorldReport.com.
Send your DVDs to John Lindemann.
Yeah.
Right, wait, John, there is a 4K set of the Connery Bond films. At this point, I don't think they've done any.
Oh, come on! The only Connery I dabble in is Connery and Highlander. That's it. That's all that.
Oh my!
That's the quickening.
That's like the caviar of Sean Connery.
The real connoisseurs don't go so much for the first one. It's the second one where Connery really hits his peak.
Are you sure you don't want to see Sean Connery in Yellowface in 4K? Because that's available to you now.
You only live twice.
Oh man, yes.
Like that's on the table.
Yeah,
for you.
I could do do back to back him and then Mickey Rooney and Breakfast at Tiffany's, right?
God.
Yeah, that's a back to back double feature for you of.
I have so many names for that double feature, and I'm not going to say a single fucking one of them.
Yeah.
But they're alliterative and they're very funny.
Yeah. For folks that don't know,
but they are also very easy to clip out of context.
Yeah, go look that up. Folks that don't know that.
I don't know. I actually don't encourage that. To be honest.
Oh no, I mean no. It's you'll look it up and you'll be like, wow, yeah, that's pretty racist. So yeah.
Yep. It's a 9 out of 10 racist, 10 out of 10 racist. You can figure it out. The problem is like if you have to set up a number value, like the top is so high that Sean Connery is just too stupid to be up there.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand the appeal of a Ray Harryhausen 4K DVDs because they're gonna look terrible.
They look terrible, yeah. Like yeah. Like what's
like
he did the Lost World, right? Didn't he do that?
Yeah, he did all that claymation stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you could get very good detail out of film if you've got the original negative or something close to it. The problem with those composite effects shots is that it's like something printed on top of something on top of something. So you got it. Sometimes if you're watching an old film, again, it could be just a good Blu-ray transfer, but certainly a 4K one, you can see the effect shots coming. Because you can, the quality drops before the extra element actually emerges on screen. Because, that's where they started the transition toward, print in an optical effect on top or whatever. So, there's limits with some of that stuff to how good it can look. But, I would have thought if you're big into that kind of stuff, I guess at least you can see the craftsmanship probably better than you've ever seen it before. But it's certainly not going to seem more convincing. You know, it's not going to seem more immersive. It's probably more of a academic sort of thing.
Yeah, Harryhausen actually did not do The Lost World. That was
really.
Yeah, it was Willis H. O'Brien who did The Lost World and King Kong. But yeah, so he worked under O'Brien on Mighty Joe Young, The Animal World, and The Animal World. And he did okay. His big one was The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Yes.
So that was his So there you go,
Titan.
Completely off topic, talking about Ray Harryhausen.
Well, no, because those might have been on the Microsoft Video Service, but they're not now.
No, they're not now. Let me tell you, no, I mean, this was really shocking to me because this came out of absolutely nowhere. So
I mean, this just goes back to the theory that Microsoft is paring back departments that don't deliver what they need them to in order to go after whatever they view as their core business. And of course, Satya Nadella put out his incredibly thick-skulled statement today. John, would you like a quote from?
I have not heard this. Go ahead, hit me.
From the brain genius that is the CEO of Microsoft. Let me find this. This is after they have laid off a bunch of employees. This is an internal memo, too, to employees. It's company-wide. Quote, I want to acknowledge the uncertainty and seeming incongruence of times we're in. By every objective measure, Microsoft is thriving. Our market performance, strategic positioning, and growth all point up and to the right. We're investing more in CapEx than ever before. Our overall headcount is relatively unchanged, and some of the talent and expertise in our industry and at Microsoft is being recognized and rewarded at levels never seen before. And yet at the same time, we've undergone layoffs. Here we go. This is the pay dirt sentence. This is the enigma of success in an industry that has no franchise value. Progress isn't linear, it's dynamic, sometimes dissonant, and always demanding. But it's also new opportunity for us to shape, lead through, and have greater impact than ever before.
I would say, who does he mean by us?
Well, I just like the big we've undergone layoffs, like they came from God or something, you know.
That's right.
They didn't choose it, you know. Also, I think it might have been more cogent if it'd just been the lyrics to "Like a Prayer" by Madonna. Just life is a mystery, everyone must stand alone. You get the idea. I mean, what the fuck was that?
Yeah,
this is the enigma of success. In an industry that has no franchise value. That sentence is completely undiagrammable. Cannot be diagrammed. Not possible. The only enigma is that sentence, honestly. I don't work at Microsoft and got mad reading this memo. And look, if you're the CEO of a company that's just laid off 9,000 people, 20,000 people over the course of the year so far, and it's only halfway over, you know your statement's going to get released to the press. You know this. This is going to happen.
This is the whole thing. I mean, really, and it goes really to Xbox as a brand. It's like, how can you have any faith in that brand anymore?
Oh, I don't.
At all. If they do things like this with this type of content, it's like...
This is content they don't even have to invest in.
No.
Right.
It's effectively passive income.
Yeah, they like, I mean, I was saying, I had 31 movies on my wish list that I was just waiting to go on sale. Now, granted, okay, I'm not paying full price for them. Sure, I'm paying $5 or whatever. But I mean, that's just money that I eventually would have handed over to Microsoft just to keep my collection going. So,
yeah.
Okay, but what if, John, instead of watching buying some crusty old movies that offer nothing new, you could make your own movie through AI?
Using AI, right? Right?
All right.
Yeah,
that's what we're all going to be doing, apparently, at some point.
Absolutely, and making a ton of money off of it, I'm sure.
Can you? Yeah, it's not like it costs $1 bajillion to run the AI generation models or anything.
Yeah.
I'm sure
John,
everyone will be interested in watching the movie that I made with AI.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it costs $1 billion, I'll just, make it back.
Well, what's great
It's
about
not
it is
my
that
$1
you can just use any copyrighted material that you want with no repercussions at all. You can just train it on any movie that you have that you possibly bought on the Microsoft store and just make your own movie.
No, because
Bloodsport 2, Jean-Claude Van Damme's newest banger.
If I want Shrek in my movie, who's going to stop me?
Yeah, it's just going to be like Ready Player One from now on.
I like that some of the models now are like, no, I can't do that when you ask them to use a copyrighted character. But then if you say please, they'll go, well, okay. It's fucking amazing. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a mess, man.
So you don't even have to say like, put Son Goku in there. I can't do that. Put the martial arts, golden-haired, blah, blah, blah in there, and then he gives you Son Goku.
There was one where I think the person said, no, actually, it's okay to do that. And it's just like, okay.
Oh.
It's like, what? Fuck you. This is, yeah. Honestly, I expect other Microsoft services to get the axe.
Yeah, I think so too.
We're gonna be stunned by the ones they are. They're gonna be something stupid like this, where it's like, wait, you're gonna get rid of that? But why?
But I mean, this is Microsoft. I mean, I'm actually really surprised that it lasted this long, because really this is a holdover of their whole, really of the Xbox One era, where Microsoft viewed themselves as an entertainment company as well as a technology company. And
your Xbox is your TV.
Yep, your Xbox. It's called the Xbox One because it's the one device that you need for all of your entertainment needs, and so it'll sit in the middle of your living room, control the living room, and you'll play games on it, you will watch movies on it, you will watch TV shows on it, provided by Xbox Studios. But then it's like, oh wow, this is actually really hard to do, so let's shut down Xbox TV Studios, and eventually, over a 10-year period, pull out of the whole thing. So.
It's Xbox TV Studios like Halo was the big show they were going to make, right? And then it ended up being Paramount that made it anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, they originally did want to make a Halo series, with Xbox Studios. I mean, Xbox TV Studios, that lasted 9 months or something. Like, they shut it down.
I don't think they made anything.
No,
so,
they didn't make anything. No. So
that's great. Awesome. We did it.
There you go. Welcome to the future.
We survived Xbox video service being a thing. Congratulations to all of us. Did you outlive Microsoft video services?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it just goes to hang out with Microsoft Groove in the graveyard now, and Zune.
No idea what you're talking about.
It was their music service. It was their equivalent
of
Apple Music.
Great.
Yeah.
Yep. It used to have integration with what was it, Forza Horizon 3? It had Groove integration.
Yeah, it
did. Yeah. So James is like,
wow.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Which was actually pretty cool, because you could come up with a playlist in Groove and you could just play it right in Forza Horizon 3. It was neat. So
the funny thing is Microsoft had two products named Groove. There was that one, and at the same time they had a SharePoint Workspace, which was also called Groove.
Man. And
nobody at Microsoft was like, boy, we shouldn't have two products called Groove. Now they have no products called Groove. So good job, everybody.
No.
It's awesome.
It's
awesome. Groove actually replaced Windows Media Player. And then when they got because they were trying to push everybody to use Groove, it's like the same thing with, they got rid of Windows Movie Maker and replaced it with fucking Clipchamp.
Windows Media Player, also not on my bingo card for hearing that today.
Well, what's funny is when they got rid of Groove, they had to bring back Windows Media Player, so there's a fucking media player in your operating system.
Yeah.
Ah, you fucks. You absolute dumb idiot morons. I just want to get to a place, John. Like, is this greedy of me? I just want to get to a place where I can get paid $50 to $100 million a year as the CEO of a company that consistently makes the dumbest decisions and is never punished for it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that so much to ask?
I don't know. I feel
like that's
I just find I have less and less answers all the time.
That's also fair.
Yeah.
Well, on that shocking note, you could send, if you want answers that we don't have, you can send your questions to rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. That's rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. Fuck, we don't know either. So send them anyway, I guess. Maybe we'll all not answer. Maybe we'll just ask AI to answer them. Who knows? We'll find out together. But send them, because next week we're going to try to do some email. It's been a little bit. It's been a week. We're going to do some email. We're going to start with email next week, if I remember, which I won't. So you can make fun of me when I don't remember. But as a reminder, email form, to my knowledge, is still busted. So still don't use that. So rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. There you go. Done. Music. Greg, it's time for some music.
It is, yes. And we had, it's in one sense, I don't think this is entirely unique, because I think there was a case before where someone sent something they'd made as ending music, but this one I had to do. This is, I have to say candidly, seemingly an unlikely story. I hope it's not something that anyone's going to take offence to. It just is by the nature of it, but it's so good in its unlikeliness that I'm firmly in the Fox Mulder I want to believe camp on this one. So I think we're going to go with it. So we received an email from Jordan Morris, who says that their son, Casper Morris, has been sort of identified as someone with a very special musical talent, and has composed a song here named Ancient Shrine that sounds very much like it could be from like a kind of desert temple kind of level in a 8-bit video game or something like that, or a modern take on an 8-bit video game. They just said basically that it should be in a video game one day, which obviously we can't provide, but at least we can provide this venue where video game songs normally go. So it's a little bit like that. And apparently also that this song has somehow managed to get awareness enough to be on a top 10 list for an Auckland, in New Zealand, an Auckland-based campus radio station. So, maybe this is just a viral sensation waiting to blow up. I have no idea. It all seems very peculiar to me that, someone so young would be composing this, but I like the story. I like the fact we've got something original here, so I'm very pleased to go with it, and I hope people will enjoy it.
Cool. All right. Well, on that, it's time for us to go. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Later.
Bye-bye.